Hello and welcome. My name is Evgeny Rusakov and you're watching TVP World interview from Vilnius. The previous year wasn't very successful for Ukrainian armed forces due to lots of different reasons. The bad news is that the war is still going on. The good news is that Ukraine does not seem to give up despite the problems that it has to face. To discuss how this year began for Ukraine and its armed forces, we are joined today by the retired colonel from the Association of Colonels, Vaidotas Malinionis. Hello, Vaidotas. Glad to see you with us here today.
Hello, thank you for inviting.
Vaidotas, first of all, what's the situation on the battlefield at this specific moment?
Well, situation in the battlefield isn't very easy, of course. It is a very hard situation. If we look at the Ukrainian defensive position, so especially very high tensions are around Pokrovsk region, yes. Russians are trying to encircle that town. And it is very hard for Ukrainians, of course, in consideration to that. But nevertheless, Russians also are suffering a high level of casualties, yes. The rate is, I think the January was the record month, then Russians suffered the most casualties.
Losses, you mean?
Yeah, losses.
Human-wise,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, it's close to 45,000, so it's really impressive. Plus, Ukraine also in January very successfully attacked deep inside of the Russian, especially that critical energy infrastructure. To mention, those oil refinery, factories, which is really makes a big impact for Russia's capability to supply their forces with the fuel. Plus, in Kursk region, Ukrainians are holding ground pretty firm. Let's not forget, it's already 6 months since they invaded Russia's territory. And it looks like that North Korean troops are withdrawn right now because they also suffered heavy losses. So generally talking, situation is close to stalemate, so no one side can afford big victories or losses.
Or breakthroughs.
No breakthroughs. Of course, Ukrainians in that position, but Russia also is struggling a lot to supply their troops, to reorganize, and also to mobilize new soldiers and to train them. So this is hard also for Russia.
Okay, so I've got two questions that you've already mentioned, those two topics. So let's first then, you've mentioned those soldiers from North Korea.
Yes.
So what's with those soldiers? I mean, did their presence have any bigger impact on the battlefield?
As far as we know, North Korea allocated 12,000 troops. And those troops were used in Kursk region, so in Russia's territory. And of course, we should keep in mind that those troops don't speak Russian, yes. They don't know the terrain, and it's very hard for Russia to integrate them into the united, front, united force. And it looks like those forces weren't very effective. They suffered heavy losses. It looks like from that contingent what North Korea allocated, it was approximately 4,000 troops which were in direct contact with Ukrainian troops. So after suffering heavy losses, they withdraw from the contact line. And most probably now they are reorganizing, and we don't know what else will be later on. It could be they will be redeployed back to North Korea,
or maybe they'll do some
or maybe after some reorganization they will get back. But there are there is some information that Kim Jong-un he evaluated the outcome of this war, because his goal was, to have trained troops. If he is willing to prepare for the next war, for example, with South Korea, yes. But maybe he decided that this is very ineffective, because what the best they can learn is how to die, because Russians are not
brilliant lesson. I have to say.
This is because Russians were not training them, because it's very hard to provide training for them because of language, of course, issues. And of course, to train them with the new technologies, with UAVs, for example, and integrate them into the...
Plus drones as well.
Yes. So if UN decides that it is totally wasting of human resources, which it is from this point of view, because instead of training, they receive, as it called in Russia, cargo 200, which means dead or wounded cargo 300.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, regarding the lack of human power. So, according to Newsweek, the Russian government has approved a draft law that will simplify the conscription process and expand military conscription. So does that mean that Russia is facing simple lack of soldiers right now, and what other signs could prove or deny this Newsweek's statement?
Yes, there is no doubt that Russia is struggling to, replace, lost troops, and they are looking for the ways how to increase those numbers of troops, because even if volunteers approach us and they are signing a contract with the Russian Armed Forces and they go to the battlefield, they, according, of course, Russia's standards, they receive very high salaries. Even that didn't help a lot, because, as I mentioned, Russia's losses per month is approximately 40,000 troops, which is huge. And they can afford to reintroduce only maybe up to 30,000. So, which means we have a deficit of the troops. And of course, we are looking for the ways with the procedures, with the bureaucracy. Maybe they can prolong conscription service, how to increase those numbers. And this is also the sign that they are struggling with the generation of the force.
Okay, let's move on. So Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau has opened a criminal case against the Minister of Defense, Rustem Umerov, so for possible abuse of power. So how does this affect the course of war?
Well, of course, any kind of corruption is
such a high position.
Yes, it is high position.
Minister of Defense.
Yeah, it is high position. As you know, that problem, the issue arose after Umerov suspended contract, which was initiated by Department of Acquisitions. The head of department, and that is some kind of it was evaluated and looked as a kind of sign of corruption. So of course it is very bad.
Well, there will be definitely some investigations.
Yes.
We'll see. But in general, how does the situation itself, does it affect the course of war?
It can affect. It can reinforce. For example, in NATO, those politicians who are against of the support to Ukraine, they are pointing that in Ukraine is
they have corruption and all that stuff.
Such a high level of corruption that even if you would like to make Ukraine win against Russia or to keep territory, but it's a wasting of time and resources, because you see such a high level of corruption. So the best way, of course, is to solve this situation as fast as possible. If needed, to replace Umerov, Minister of Defense. But of course, in normal country, which Ukraine is, investigation should be done. Yes, maybe they can announce that the process is suspended, everything is stopped. After investigation, we will, reintroduce our decisions. We will announce our decisions, and we will reintroduce order as it is. But so yes, we should understand that war is very messy environment. And,
it is indeed.
And if there are some people who are not so generous, they are maybe corrupted, so it's a very favorable field
for doing that kind of dodgy stuff.
Yes,
dodgy
that's the reason there is a martial law to stop those type of activities. But yes, it's bad, and of course it also disturbs trust inside in Ukraine, among the population, among the armed forces. So it's bad. So I think I wish that Ukrainian government will solve this
as soon as possible.
As soon as possible, and in the most transparent and nice way.
President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, sees no risk that Ukraine will not be included in the peace talks. Lithuanian President Gitanas Nausėda thinks otherwise. According to him, it would be unacceptable if peace were to be established behind the door and without Ukraine's participation. So, what's your take on this?
Definitely, Ukrainian president must be included, and otherwise, if President Zelensky is left aside, then what is happening? We are negotiating and we are making peace with the aggressor, yes? So what about reparations, What about, reparations for Ukraine? What about lost territories? What about all damage that is done for Ukraine? And, in this case, we are still in the process of the peacemaking. So President Trump said that his goal right now, instead of 24 hours now, is 100 days. So we will see. But the worse than war, it could be bad peace, which means, yes, bad peace is worse than war. And what we should be avoiding is bad peace. Because what does it mean, bad peace? Bad peace means that Ukraine is forced to stop fighting. Okay, both sides do that. Ukraine is not given, guarantees of the security, so they are not accepted to NATO, and no NATO contingent inside of Ukraine. Ukraine is not allowed to, for example, produce its military capabilities, and Russia lives as it is. What does it mean if Russia stays as it is?
That probably means a new conflict in a couple of years.
Yes, exactly. It's 100% not new conflict, but new attack against NATO, maybe countries, against Ukraine, or maybe some country, another country. So, which means that because Russia right now, Russia's economy is a war economy, Russia's society is mobilized, and Putin doesn't have any tools to roll it back, only move forward, because even he would like to do that, he is not capable. And second thing, if he will try to do that, if he tries to stop war and to stop, war movement, he would be definitely probably killed by his own people because of what he done. So the only way for him is to keep fighting, prepare for war, because right now war is for him is a tool, the way of life, because everything else is dead for that regime. Is death for that regime.
Well, what a brilliant way to finish our interview. But anyway, that's the truth that we have to face today. Vaidotas, thank you very much for joining us today, and I really hope to see you in our studio again.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you. And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was a retired colonel from the Association of Colonels, Vaidotas Malinionis. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.